Welcome to FoxNews.com, live streaming from the Democratic National Convention in Philadelphia 2016. Today we're joined by someone who's going to take us inside the political story of 2016, Joe Trippi. Joe was the campaign manager for Howard Dean. He's also a Fox News contributor. And, you know, in the business of politics, Joe Trippi is known as the man who was the genius who innovated in terms of the use of social media to really excite young people to get out and vote. Those were the Dean, what did you call them?
Zeniacs.
Zeniacs.
Yeah.
So, Joe, what a pleasure, because normally people see you on Fox News Channel and you have to address the issue of the moment.
Right.
I want to get away from the moment.
And you got 18 seconds to do it, you know.
But I want to give the FoxNews.com audience the opportunity to get to know you a little better and take them behind the scenes of the politics of the moment. So let's start with the polls, because lots of Democrats have been looking at their mobile devices and saying, oh my gosh, Nate Silver now says Trump is likely to win the presidential election. What happened?
Well, what Nate Silver's doing is calling it if the election were held that day. Well, if the election's held a day, regardless of which party, if it's held the day after that party's convention, that party's going to win the presidency that day. I mean, it's that kind of thing. Republicans get about a 4.9 average bounce out of their average convention. Trump did get 6 points out of it, so you got to give him that. He had a above average bump out of his convention. The interesting thing is, throughout history, Democrats have had an average 6-point bounce. So our bounce, for whatever reasons, is usually bigger.
Right.
If Hillary Clinton gets the average bounce or above average bounce, but anywhere in there, we're going to be right back where we were before the conventions, where she had a 75% chance of winning, according to Nate Silver. So we'll see how that changes, but he's changing it day by day based on if it were held that day. Guarantee you the day after this convention, her chances will be sky high, and then as that drifts back, we'll get a more realistic view.
So a lot of chaos here at the convention, especially celebrated by the GOP, because they said, oh, you said our convention had a lot of dissension, Ted Cruz and the like. But hey, wait a minute, the Bernie people, who I think in some ways are inheritors of the Howard Dean people, are here saying, we don't want Hillary Clinton. What do you think, Joe?
I've been there. I mean, any insurgent campaign that comes this close, you're going to have those kind of feelings, particularly when it's their first campaign. I mean, I remember working for Kennedy when I was in my 20s, and when he stood at that convention and said, for me, a few hours ago, this campaign came to an end, I was on the floor screaming, no!
Oh.
You know, and it's still like one of the worst losses, that
it's your first one, and it takes your heart.
Yeah. So it's good. I went with the Democratic nominee, and I have ever since. But that day, I sure didn't think so, and on that floor, I didn't think so. I'm not that worried about it at all. In fact, this looks more like just a typical hard-fought Democrats on the floor, and the younger delegates that are here for the first time with the guy they believe, true believers. They're not going to just, go out without a lot of tears, some frustration, disappointment. But I think in the end, I just don't see Bernie Sanders. I mean, enough. I mean, some will be upset and go with Trump, but I think we're talking a couple of points, 2-3%, not the largest.
So, I'm a journalist, and my perspective, I'm surprised that the Sanders people don't feel like, we've had some big wins here. Bernie did far better than expected in terms of the party platform. They pushed it to the left on minimum wage. Certainly they pushed it on education tuition, right?
Yeah.
They pushed it to the left on health care. I just think Bernie has become now a key player, and I wonder if they don't understand compromise. Am I being harsh?
A little. I think it's more that, we won, but we didn't win the big thing. We didn't win the nomination.
Well, they say it was rigged, but Hillary got more votes.
No, she won this thing fair and square. I'm not saying there weren't biases and things, but that's like, hey, that's politics. I mean, if you're when I worked for Howard Dean, if you don't think the entire party was trying to stop Howard Dean from being the nominee, it's the same thing. If they're not trying to stop you, you're not the insurgent. That's why you're the insurgent. So that part doesn't bother me. I think some of the content of the emails was
just to be clear with the online viewers, we're talking about the fact that there was this hacking done, and when it was released, it turns out that you had lots of people working for Deborah Wasserman Schultz saying nasty things about Bernie and doubting his campaign.
His faith and his religion, things like that. That's the part I think most of the Sanders people are really appalled about.
Yeah,
and I would too.
They said he was an atheist.
Yeah. I mean, it was just... But I don't think in the end, it's Donald Trump on the other side. I mean, we're not talking... I don't think there's I think some of them might vote for Stein or stay home.
Wait, tell people, Jill Stein.
Jill Stein, Green Party, somebody who's been out there trying to court the Sanders vote now, wickedly attacking Hillary Clinton.
What about the Libertarian, Gary Johnson?
I think some of them will go that way too. But I think, look, the polls I've seen show 90% of Sanders voters already supporting Hillary Clinton. What we're seeing is, the diehards. I mean, the people, that small percentage, that true believers that just are not going to give up on him. They may not vote. They may vote for somebody else. I think actually those that lean Democratic are going to vote for Hillary. Join that 90% and get it up to 93, 94. I think some of those Bernie Sanders supporters have not. This is the first time, not only the first candidate, the first time they've been active. And are independent leaners. They may not vote, or I think Trump may be enough to put aside their anti-Hillary feelings and join with the rest of the progressives.
What do you think about Tim Kaine, the senator from Virginia? Again, the Bernie people not very excited, but the professional class of politicians and political strategists like you seem to be embracing Tim Kaine.
Well, I mean, the one thing, I remember how I felt when I was with Kennedy and how I didn't, but, you go through a bunch of conventions where you hold those kind of grudges and the Republicans win, and you learn, over time, well, it's just not worth it.
But what if they had put up Elizabeth Warren? What if they had gone with Sherrod Brown, the senator from Ohio, more left-wing?
But you have to win. I mean, it doesn't do you any good. If the Supreme Court goes out the window because you picked somebody, Tim Kaine gets you Virginia for sure, I think.
You think so?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think Hillary Clinton was already on her way to winning Virginia, but I think with Tim Kaine, that's shut down. If Democrats win Virginia and Florida, this is over. It is over. Donald Trump can win Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio, Pennsylvania. He can win all those, and he can't get there from here. If Hillary Clinton wins Virginia and Florida, so Kaine helps you pick off Virginia. He speaks Spanish. He's been on armed services. He's been on a lot of foreign affairs, intelligence, all that stuff.
You sound confident to me, but I got to tell you, a lot of people, including here at the Democratic National Convention, will concede privately Hillary Clinton's a weak candidate.
Well, they wouldn't be Democrats if they weren't worried about it. No, I just think I think Democrats don't understand. I think even a lot of Democrats don't understand the strength of the Electoral College advantage that any Democrat would have. And I think in a lot of ways the Clinton-Kaine ticket is even stronger because he helps. Most VP picks even these days don't even carry their own state. Right. You get somebody like him who can help to carry Virginia, but also Colorado, New Mexico, Nevada, Florida, because of his ability to actually go in, speak Spanish, engage, and help with turnout, which is going to be the whole thing here in terms of turning out, I think, in those swing states, turning out our base and extending a little bit. I don't think there's a better pick for her. I'm not talking about the ideological stuff.
But, Elizabeth Warren's so exciting to a lot of people, her rhetoric.
No, she is, but think of this. Hillary Clinton right now, look at what she's got. She had Joe Biden live in Pennsylvania.
Right.
She can have Kane live in Virginia and Florida. She can have, you know, Bill Clinton, you know, Barack Obama out there. I mean, one state where, you know, Trump is out there pretty much by himself and Pence, but there's no Laura Bush campaigning for him. You know, we're going to have Michelle. Everybody saw what Michelle did.
Michelle had yeah, that was an unbelievable speech.
She'll be out there. That's what I'm saying. When you look at this, you look at we have 242 electoral votes that have voted 6 out of 6 times for the Democrat, the last 6 presidential elections.
And the Democrats won 5 of the 6.
Right. And so, and the one, well, I mean, one of those was the pesky Florida thing with Bush.
The hanging chad.
Yeah, yeah. And even Kerry got, I think it was 256. I mean, it was only 14.
He was close.
Yeah, close. So I just think you look at our strength and you look at the tools. I mean, I'm talking about the strong voices out there, including Elizabeth Warren, who can go in to these states and hammer on Trump. I mean, no one's better at it. I think it's going to be really tough for Trump to pull this off. I'm not saying it's not possible, but I feel pretty good.
That's the inside scoop from Joe Trippi, former campaign manager for Howard Dean, Fox News contributor. You can reach him at Joe Trippi. Joe, thank you so much for joining us here at FoxNews.com, here at the Democratic National Convention in Philadelphia 2016.